What's up everyone, it's Q from RetroQ Gaming and I am going to be your guide for this video. Chances are if you're watching this video, you are pretty new to Gears of War 4. You probably just got an Xbox One, Xbox One S or Xbox One X for Christmas in 2017 and you're jumping into Gears of War 4. You're probably overwhelmed by so much that's going on in here at the moment, but fear not. I, as your local Gears of War Pro, not just Gears of War 4 Pro, but as someone who's been playing Gears of War since before the release of the first game, I'm here to guide you through your Gears of War 4 Horde mode, the classes, how to play, the skill cards, etc, etc. Now, you may be wondering, Q, what gives you the right and the expertise to talk about Gears of War 4? Why should we listen to you? Well, let's take a look at some of the stuff we have here. I've been playing Gears of War 4 since day one, and every re-up emblem you see here is indication of level 100. So, re-up 1, level 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. So I'm level 914. I'm pretty sure that's a good indicator of how well I can play Gears of War 4 and how well I know the classes and the intricacies of everything in Horde mode. On top of that too, we have 5 standard classes in Gears of War 4, Horde mode at least anyway, all of which will max out at level 10. All of which I have maxed out at level 10. So, you see my point. Over the course of this video, I'm going to go through things like what the classes do, what they shouldn't do, what they should focus on. We'll get into skill cards later on in the video specifically as well, and what kind of weapons you should focus on and all with each individual class. So, with the soldier is a standard damage dealing class. Their primary, secondary and tertiary focus is just to deal damage to the enemy. Their main focus will not include picking up power. They also will not be picking up, or not picking up, but they will not be using power to build fortifications. Their main weapons are going to be stuff like lancers. Realistically, your main weapon will always be your lancer as your soldier. You can put in 1 or 2 extras as well, because you can boost things like assault rifle damage. You can carry a secondary assault rifle, maybe instead of a shotgun, because both of which will benefit from certain skill cards. We'll get into that whole deal later on as well, but those are your main things. Start with the lancer, the gnasher, the snub pistol, and grenades. Now the sniper again is a pure damage dealing class. Usually you will find Xbox players, now this is not a dig, but usually you'll find Xbox players will not be able to play snipers as effectively, mainly because of a lower frame rate and controller. Now, because, not just even with that said in mind, the primary focus of your sniper is marksmanship. You're talking weapons like long shots, marks at M1s and snub pistols, the 3 weapons that they actually start with, and there can be other weapons in there too, like say M-bars and all that as well. Just like the soldier, your sniper will not be building fortifications, will not be picking up any excess power spread out across the map, but the primary focus of most snipers will be headshots, headshot damage, and damage done by precision weapons in general. I don't want to leave the lobby, so let's go forward. Now, next up is our engineer. Starts with a gnasher, an enforcer, and a repair tool. Now, the engineer is where this gets kind of interesting for the first time with our Gears of War classes. So, with the engineer, your primary focus is building and repairing of fortifications. You can customize your engineer in multiple different ways, in the sense that you can have them covering a broad spectrum of a little bit of everything. You can make a lot of stuff dirt cheap. You can make a lot of stuff have increased ammo or increased health for fortifications wise. Your big thing is that the engineer should only be the only person focused on actually building fortifications. Now, again, we'll get in, you see my skill cards there, but we will get into the skill cards individually later on. But the big thing you want to know is that you can pretty much use whatever weapons you want as an engineer. Personally, I like to go to a lancer and an overkill, and I can't use a bolt hawk because you need your repair tool, but I like to use a lancer and an overkill when time permits, money permits, or the battlefield permits. You don't pick up power as an engineer, but you do use it. Now, the heavy, we're on to our third and final full DPS class, or full damage dealing class, or full DD class, whatever you know them as, for Gears of War 4. This one obviously focuses in heavy weapons, anything that's big, anything that explodes, or anything that actually counts as a heavy weapon. They start with a retro lancer, a boom shot, and a bolt hawk. No grenades, but they mainly focus on doing extra damage with explosives. You can see my skill cards there real quick for how it's built for my heavy. Everything is focused on heavy weapons, turrets, and explosives. So that is their big focus. Drop shots, salvos, boom shots, they're the big deal when it comes to your heavy. A heavy will not be spending money, a heavy will not be building fortifications, and a heavy will not be picking up power. Now, the scout. Actually, let me go back in here. The scout is the big thing for the scout, okay? They can function as a slightly lowered damage dealer, in the sense that they can do good damage with shotguns. That's how their skills are laid out. Again, we'll get to that later. But they start with a Gnasher, a Retro Lancer, and a Snub Pistol. Now, the Scout's primary function, even though they can be not a top tier damage dealer, but maybe like a second tier damage dealer, even having said all that, their primary function, you can see on the left hand side here in the description, they collect double power during combat. So, every time someone kills an enemy, the scout should be picking up the power. The scout should be the one who picks up 99% of the power during the entire match, during the entire round, between every round, and over the course of the entire game. There is one or two exceptions for everything I've mentioned right now in regards to power and using power in the sense of building fortifications. A heavy, a soldier, and a sniper should never be building a fortification. There are one or two uses that they can do for power. A heavy, for example, can call in a mortar strike at a cost of power. This is big damage across wide areas to a lot of enemies, particularly useful in boss waves. The soldier can do something similar. They can call in a large Hammer of Dawn strike versus a huge area, big targets, exceptionally useful during boss waves. Now, these things do cost power. And the sniper, same deal. They call in a massive range and a massive wide or area wide barrage of headshots. So again, these things do cost power. Use them sparingly and use them properly and you will have a good time. Now, the scout, like I said, is really the only one that should be picking up the power. There is one other exception. The scout has no big proper thing that it should use power for other than picking it up. It shouldn't really be using anything. It's got nothing proper and equivalent in the sense of calling in a hammer strike or a mortar strike or anything. So the only other time any of the other four classes, with the exception of the scout, should pick up power is if between rounds you can see there's some power that is close to you on the ground, your scout has not picked up and cannot get to, and there's maybe 2 or 3 seconds before the next round starts. As soon as that round starts, that power will disappear. So you should pick it up with maybe 2 or 3 seconds remaining, because it's better for you to get even a slight bit of it and then deposit it into the fabricator instead of it just going completely to waste. That's really the only time any of the other four classes should be picking up power. Now, I feel like I've covered the whole deal with what the main job of the classes is, what you should really focus, and what one or two of the exceptions are. There will be a very, very slight deviance in there because, let's face it, every wave is different, real world happens, and shit can hit the fan, and you want to be able to adapt for that. But if you follow those basic principles, those basic guiding principles, you should have the best way to fundamentally use your classes to their maximum potential, and therefore get the maximum return on XP, on credits, on just everything you do in game, bounties, etc, etc. And that means everyone's going to have a good time. So next up I want to talk about team composition. Naturally, there are 5 slots to use in a Horde match, and what's the best way to fill these? Now, I know sometimes some people are going to want to level a specific class and it won't really jive with what the current team composition is. For the betterness of the team, please consider changing classes. Just because you have a level 1 sniper and it's what you want to level up, or if it's your only job your only class that's not rank 10, please consider switching just for one match, just for the good of the match and the good of the team. Because let's face it, you're just going to kind of drag down the other 4 people and put a bit more stress and effort and work on their part. Okay? Now, what do I consider a good team composition? Usually, there are 2 to 3 good team compositions, but many others do work and work well at the same time. What I prefer to see is, I'll give you my 2 primary focuses of team composition, and I will give you my secondary one as well. So, my primary preferred way of seeing a team composition would be possibly one of every unit. That is also a viable option. But the big thing is that you have 1 engineer, 1 scout. My personal preference would be 2 soldiers and a heavy, or 2 heavies and a soldier. But any composition of an engineer, a scout, and realistically any 3 DPS will work. But again, I'd prefer to see you guys use and get used to having a different variety on there as well. Granted, 3 snipers could work. It would be a little bit harder, but it can be done. 3 heavies would also work. 3 soldiers would also be really good. But you see my point. My personal preference on that would be 1 engineer, 1 scout, and either 2 soldiers and a heavy or 2 heavies and a soldier. My second preference of how to do it as well is 2 engineers, 1 scout, and then some combination of DPS. Preferably for me, because the DPS would be lower in that overall scenario, I would prefer 2 engineers, 1 scout, and a heavy and a soldier, or 2 heavies or 2 soldiers. But you see my point. A sniper is too risky in that sense for my liking, because let's face it, I've played a lot of Gears of War and I don't have faith in the majority of people playing sniper class, or people playing the game in general at this point. So I'd really like them to take a little bit of the safer option that's a bit more consistent overall damage. Now, why would I have 2 engineers? Well, there's a good reason for that. When you have 2 engineers, you can use 1 engineer to really focus on 1 or 2 specific units or specific fortifications. We'll get into this now in a minute when we get to the skill cards, but if you have 2 engineers, one of which focuses on extremely heavily discounting 1 or 2 types of fortifications and buffing them with, say, extra ammo, extra fire speed, extra health, etc. You can have a second engineer who focuses on doing the same kind of buffs and all that and discounts for 2 separate things. So let's just give you a quick example. Engineer 1, he is going to focus on sentries and barriers. So he's making barriers be dirt cheap, he's making them have more health. He's also making your sentries, he's going to make them dirt cheap, he's going to make them have more ammo, and at the same time he's also going to make them have a faster firing speed. So he's really focused on those ones. And then we have engineer number 2. Now engineer number 2 is going to focus on making turrets dirt cheap, not sentries but actual turrets. He's going to focus on making those dirt cheap. He's also going to focus on making decoys, and he's going to have his decoys with a lot more health and a lot of a discount. Because of the way skill cards can work as well, he's also going to throw on 1 or 2 just to give a little bit of a discount on weapons lockers as well. So that way, while you do lack a little bit of extra DPS, you do have big focuses specifically on 2 individual engineers making individual stuff better, essentially. Now, that may be a little confusing for a new player like yourself watching this video, but I will get into that now in a minute once we actually get to the skill cards, and that way I can wow, that's terrible. I can better explain it and give you a proper visual representation of how it can go. So the next part of this video is going to go into the individual classes, how they can be played because of certain skill cards and different loadouts and things like that. Before we go any further though, I do want to say this: no matter what you are playing, as long as there is at least 1 scout in your party, in your game, if you are a heavy or if you are a soldier, as soon as the game starts, before anyone makes it to the fabricator, please kill yourselves. Now that's not me being insulting. If you are a soldier, run to the nearest wall, run to the nearest corner, whatever, quickly throw down 2 grenades, don't stick them into the wall with a melee, just quickly throw them into the wall, into the ground, into the floor, into whatever, just so they both blow up instantly, downing and killing you. If you are a heavy, do the same thing with a boom shot. Shoot the ground right beneath your feet. If you do it too close to the start of the game, it actually won't count. So you just do an active reload and do it again. It will kill you straight out. There's a purpose and a reason for this. If you do this, your money, your power, drops onto the ground. So therefore, you drop 1000 power. The scout can pick this up. Obviously, it will get an extra 1000 power, but when he deposits it, you will get an increased bonus from the jump. So you will be going into wave 1 with a higher bonus than you should start at. Now, if you are an engineer, a scout, or a sniper, you can't do anything about this, so don't worry about it. But if you are going to play an engineer, no, if you're going to play a soldier or a heavy, and as long as you have the scout in your party, do this right at the start of the game. It's very beneficial. Now, moving on anyway. So, overall, there are multiple different ways to play different classes based on different skill cards. The skill cards can focus on individual things such as movement speed, ammo, damage, reload speed, and various other stuff too. There are 1 or 2 cards based on every individual class that, in my opinion, are 100% required. The very first one of these is this card you see here, the Skilled Scout Deposit Bonus, plus 60% bonus on Fabricator deposits. There's a reason for that. Like I mentioned a second ago, you want to have your Scout depositing as much power as possible at all times. Now, this is why this card is most important. If someone deposits 1000 power that isn't a Scout, they will get 1000 power added to the Fabricator. If a scout with this card at this level deposits 1000 power, they're going to get 1600 power into the Fabricator. That might not sound like much for maybe 1000 or over the course of the first couple of waves where you're only getting maybe 600, 800 or whatever, but believe me, in some of the higher waves, and as well as when your fortifications start to get destroyed, when you're depositing 4, 6, 8, 10, 15, 20,000 in one go, and you're getting a 60% bonus on top of that, it really, really helps to max out your Fabricator and get as many fortifications down as possible, as well as keep them repaired, keep them topped up on ammo, whatever it is. Now, before we go into the other cards in the Scout class, I'm going to go over what you see here, my 5 Scout cards and why I play them and how I play my Scout. So the main way I play it, obviously we've got the deposit bonus because that is absolutely non-negotiable for anyone. I believe that's the one skill you start with when you are a Scout at level 1 the very first time. I think you've got a level 1 variant of that card, which reinforces how important that card is for a Scout. But the way I play it anyway is I am trying to boost my shotgun damage. Shotguns are obviously damaging at close range, so as a Scout you're always on the move, you're usually out in the battlefield picking up power from dead enemies, you're up close and personal the majority of the time. Your shotgun is going to be your best friend. I'm a big fan of the Overkill rather than the Gnasher, and the Overkill does some serious pump of damage. Plus 120%, forget about it. Do an active reload on top of it, forget about it. You see my point. I like to pick up distance on here as well, because this picks up your power radius by 600%. So it essentially, anything within range of you, let me rephrase that better. Usually, if you don't have any form of this card on, you literally have to walk upon directly on top of the power. As the pickup distance increases, you power from a couple of feet to your left, a couple of feet to your right, to the front, to the back, whatever, you can pick it up without walking directly on it. The radius obviously increases based on the level of this skill card, but that's why I love it. You don't have to worry about getting so precise, wasting all the time that you may miss, you have to turn to pick it all up, because between rounds you have 30 seconds. Those 30 seconds to cover an entire map can be pretty vital. A lot of people I see pair the pickup distance card with the movement speed card. Personally, it's not my deal, but I can see why they do it. Shotgun magazine, this is a big one for me and how I play because of the huge 120% bonus of shotgun damage ideal. If I can have an extra 4 shots in my shotgun at all times, or even 8 if you want to include an overkill because of how the overkill works, that's a serious amount of damage. And naturally, because you're going through more damage in an entire clip or whatever, I need the extra capacity shotgun ammo. That's the reserve. So instead of carrying a total of 20 shotgun rounds, maybe with 10 in the shotgun, I can carry, let's just for argument's sake, say 40. Now I realize that's not based on the percentage there, but you see my point. So there are a few other ones. We're going to generally skip the general ones. Like you see, you've got a build cost, you've got a carry speed, you've got the execution bonus. We're going to skip those and we're going to focus on the specific scout kills. Now, this is a big one, the brawler. Because you're always out in the battlefield, up close and personal, especially because of the shotguns, you will be meleeing enemies. You will be taking melee attacks from enemies. This one will boost your damage output and it will boost your damage reduction from both of those styles of attacks. So it's up to you if that's your kind of deal. I don't like it personally, but it's kind of valid and I can see where it comes from. I don't like the cloak card at all. I only recently got it. I tested it out once and I didn't like it at all. It's really, oh God, what's the best way to describe it? I mean, sure, you get a bonus for, you get an attack bonus and a damage bonus when you're attacking from cloak. The problem is how you cloak and how long it takes, and it's so much downtime. I don't personally like it. The scout skill, this is another, before we go any further actually, another scout build that's very popular is high movement speed and high energy. You can get ones like this card here, that when you pick up and return power, or when you pick up power from the battlefield rather, that it will actually, it will start to restore your health, which is very beneficial, especially if you're in the middle of a firefight on the opposite side of the map when your team is, you know, is all on the complete opposite side. There are other ones as well, like such as health regen, the speed of it. There's ones that actually boost your maximum percentage health. All these can work together to give you a high health scout build. Makes you very tough, very hard to kill. Just like this one here, the roadie run dodge skill basically. When roadie running, you take less damage. It's a huge, like 23% damage reduction while roadie running. You're going to be roadie running a lot as a scout, especially if you have your movement speed bonus. So that's something to consider if you're going in from that. This is a fortification when we don't need that. The scout skill, this is the one I was talking about. You get your 100% health bonus, 120% at level 6. So that's also something to consider if you want to go for a high health build. Regeneration speed as well, that's for your health restoration. Even at rank 4, it's 125% regeneration speed. It goes up to 150%, and I don't even know what level 6 is on that. It's probably like 175 or maybe 200%. Pick up distance, we've already used these ones. See, this is what I'm talking about here. Rage, 15% melee and shotgun damage returned as health. So when you're out in the middle of the field, you're in the fighting stuff, you're trying to kill stuff with your shotgun with the extra 120% damage on top of it. Every time you're landing a shotgun shot on someone, or you're meleeing someone, or whatever you're doing, 15% of damage you just dealt to the enemy is being returned to you. So you can see where the benefit comes in from that. You're essentially trading health to an extent. The speed boost, that's what we talked about as well. You really know when you see, actually, you know what, I'm going to upgrade this right now just to get it up to the next level. But you'll really know when you see someone with a high, maybe a level 5 or a level 6 version of this skill. They will outrun you by miles. And if they pick up the fabricator, don't even try help them with it. It's kind of ridiculous. Speed loader. This is a kind of handy one if you go for the speed builds too, because essentially when you start running, after a certain amount of time, what will actually happen is your weapon will automatically active reload, which is obviously really handy. You're bouncing between fight to fight to fight. You don't want to worry about active reloads, and it just gets it in there. Maybe you're not even good at active reloads. This kind of negates that for you. Now, personally, I'm exceptional at active reloads, so it is basically useless for me. Team revive we'll skip, and X-ray, I don't like X-ray at all, basically. When you go into TACCOM mode by holding the left bumper, or I use a controller on PC, so I don't know what the general version of it would be. It's probably tab, to be honest. But anyway, when you go in that, there's a radius of enemies. Even if they're not marked on the map, you can actually see them through walls. The range extends based on the level of the skill card, but personally I think it's useless. So next up we'll take a look at the heavy and the different ways to play the heavy. If you look at my one here real quick, you've got explosive launcher capacity plus 12 rounds. That's your backup ammo essentially, so you're not going to have a boom shot with 13 booms in one clip basically. Your explosive launcher damage plus 120%, heavy weapon damage plus 60%. There's something I'll talk about in regards to those two cards now in a second. You've got your heavy skill for the mark damage, an extra plus 60% damage, and your turret damage as well. Now, something in relation to these two cards, the explosive launcher damage plus 120% and the heavy weapon damage plus 60%. These two cards actually stack, believe it or not, which is excellent if you ask me. Now by what I mean is they stack is when you use any explosive weapon or any explosive launcher like a boom shot or a drop shot, it will do plus 120% damage. Now if you're to take up the likes of say an RL4 salvo when you kill a guardian, those are those flying enemies that when you kill them you can either pull a tri-shot Gatling gun or a rocket launcher salvo off them. If you get the rocket launcher version, it will actually stack with this. So when you pick it up, you're doing plus 180% damage, which is a huge bonus of damage. When you couple those two with the mark damage card I have, I mark every enemy I see, or every enemy I'm attacking while I'm attacking them. So if let's say I'm using a salvo, and I'm attacking an enemy, so I'm getting my 120% from an explosive weapon, I'm getting the plus 60% damage from using a heavy weapon, and I'm getting my mark damage bonus on top of it. I'm pushing over, let me work that out, what's that, 180? I'm pushing 240% extra damage. That's a big deal, especially when you come to heavies, because that's how they work, and that's how they do it. It's the same with the turret as well. Plus 40% turret damage. Turrets do good damage as it is, especially at level 3 and 4. When you couple the extra 40% on there, and then factor in the extra 60% from the marked damage while I'm shooting them, enemies absolutely disintegrate. They just melt. But that's how I play heavy. How you play heavy may be completely different, but let's get into the actual skill cards anyway. So same deal with this. By the way, I will say one thing. I don't have every skill card for every class. I'm still missing maybe like 1 or 2 per class. Usually what I've noticed is they're not very important ones. But anyway, we can skip the general ones on these because they're the same cards that can be used across all classes. We've already seen them in the scout tutorial. But here we have for the berserker one. Now, I'm not a fan of a berserker one because when carrying a heavy weapon, you deal more damage as your health gets lower. So granted, yes, your output and damage does massively increase as your health diminishes. The problem is it's a very situational card. You're relying too much on having low health for this one to be effective. You're essentially wasting a card slot if you don't take massive constant amounts of damage. And even then, granted, it will help you survive a little bit when you're at low health. It's too risky if you ask me, because you're at such a low health point as it is that you could easily go down. So explosive launcher reload speed. This one is interesting to most people, not me personally. The reason for it is every explosive launcher in the game, the boom shot, the drop shot and the torque bow, excluding heavy weapons of course, they all have one shot per clip essentially. So you fire one bullet, you reload, you fire another. Because you're reloading so often, it can be a little bit of a benefit to increase their reload speed. Personally, it doesn't outweigh the benefits of what I have on the other stuff, so I don't use it. Now, we've already gone over the heavy weapon damage. Last Stand, this is very similar to the previous one we had, Berserker. It could probably be teamed up with it very well, and it would make more sense. So it's basically your damage reduction in the sense of, we had our Berserker card that as your health drops, you do more damage. With Last Stand, as your health drops, you take less damage. So you could combine the two, so that at a lower health point, you can output more damage and you take less damage, keeping you alive for longer to do significantly more damage. But again, it factors in with you going down or taking so much damage the whole time that I wouldn't personally use it, and that's why I don't personally use it. We've covered our mark damage. Onto the mortar strike. This is one of the ones I talked about in relation to the 3 DPS and damage jobs. The mortar strike, as you can see on the left there, the ability for you to activate a mortar strike is added to the fabricator. This ability is limited to players with the skill equipped. The damage and radius is based on the level of the skill. So as it goes up higher, as you rank up your card to level 3, 4 or 5, whatever, the radius of each mortar strike, it drops several at once, and the radius of each one and the damage they do increases. Now the price doesn't increase from what I've noticed. I've barely used it. I'm only rank 3 on it. That's why I don't use it anymore, really. I've found a better combination that works for me. But generally, these are really only saved for oh shit moments and boss waves. Now, maybe not even a rank 10 boss wave, but maybe like a 40 or 50 boss wave. So, you see my point. It's a useful card, no doubt, but it's very situational. You'll only find maybe 5, maybe 6 rounds over the course of an entire game where you have the money to spare and you need it at the same time. Now, the turret capacity one, okay, so I don't like this card at all. For the simple reason is, mine is level 4, okay? A heavy should not be building anything as it is. There's a reason for this. So, if you're building this, even, like, let's look at the rank 5 version of this card. Next one up is plus 50% ammo. It's not double ammo, it's plus 50% ammo. So, paying 100% full price for a turret with an extra 50% ammo versus a properly built and properly loaded out engineer who can build 2 turrets for the same price. Granted, they won't have the plus 50% bonus, but making 2 turrets which will overall have higher ammo than the 50% bonus, and they can be used by 2 people to output twice as much damage in the same period of time, which is why I do not like this card, and I deem this card 100% useless. Now, thick skin. I'm not really a fan of this one as well. You've got your damage reduction from explosives. It can be useful because there is a lot of explosive stuff in it too, but when I make my heavy, I go ham on the damage. I'm a pretty good Gears player. I generally don't go down very often. I'll take a little bit of damage now and again, of course. I generally don't go down too often, and something that usually does down me is something that will down me in one hit because it just does so much damage. Usually I wouldn't really worry about this because it's only going to take real big, huge, proper effect at higher levels, in the sense of higher levels of the card, and at the same time you're talking wave 31 plus, so you're underutilizing it for maybe the first half, the first 60% of the round. I'm not a fan. We've already covered the Team Revive as a general skill, we just ignored. I think this card is personally completely useless. Obviously I'm a fan of the bull talk. I hate the pussy pistol, but I just don't think it's worth it. When you're a heavy, you're not focusing on the plus 25%, 30%, 40%, whatever damage of a handgun. You're going ham. You're using drop shots. You're using boom shots. You're using salvos. Whatever it is. I think this one is a waste of a card. Now, turret damage plus 40% for rank 4, 50% for rank 5. I can only assume 60% for rank 6. I do like this card. Like I explained at the start, this also works for turrets created by other people. So when you have engineers creating those dirt cheap 50% discount turrets, you jump on one of those, you mark an enemy, you get your plus 60% damage, you used whatever level of skill you have, you're getting, in my case, plus 40% damage. That doubles the damage of the turret I'm shooting at versus whatever enemy I'm currently shooting at. So next up, let's take a look at the soldier. Like the heavy, the soldier is 100% damage focused. It does it in different ways. There's also a couple of different ways to play it that we'll look at now in a second. But let's first off take a look at how I play my, I was going to say Lancer, my soldier. So because I'm a beast with active reloads, and I will hit 98% of active reloads no matter what in basically any situation at every single time, I use an active reload boost. Now, That gives me 100% bonus of everything that comes with an active reload, be it your extra damage output, your recoil, or your spread, whatever way you want to look at it. This is 120% better on all of that. You couple that with this one here, which is 100% damage increase on your assault rifles. Now this also applies for a retro lancer and what's the other one? An enforcer, but no one uses those. This is huge. You have a natural 100% damage for every single shot, and then you have your standard active reload bonus, and then you have 120% on the bonus on top. It has a huge damage output, if you ask me. I've used so much time on my soldier, and this is how I built him around and the way I play and what I can do with him. Because you're going to be flying through so much ammo on your lancers, naturally you're going to need plus 115% backup ammo stock. I believe it goes just over 1,000 rounds in your backup at this point, so that's a pretty huge deal, especially with the plus 100% magazine size. So that's how many bullets you have in your clip at once, which yes also applies if you waste out the whole thing and you hit that active reload. You have double sized clip of full active reload bonus. Not just full, but 120% bonus. Now, having said all that, okay, even if you start shooting instantly, your active reload bonus will actually wear off before you get to use it all, because the clip is just so big. And I like to keep me a hammer strike as well. It's a pretty high up rank one. It's level 4. I'm really trying to get that to level 6 because it would just do so much destruction and damage, and I really can't wait for it. But that's my big deal. That's what I like to call my oh shit button. When we're on like wave 40 or wave 50 and we have carriers with 2.5 times our health and we have so many different enemies and all, you drop in a hammer of dawn strike. Sure, it's a little bit expensive when it comes to power, 13,000 power to actually call it in, but a 5-second duration, that's a shitload of damage against a boss, and on anything else that does hit and kill, it still stays there, so enemies can continue to walk into it and you still put out a serious amount of damage. Now, on to the rest of it. So we have our assault rifle accuracy. This one, the longer you fire the assault rifle in one consistent burst, would burst be the right word? In one consistent stream, there we go, the accuracy rate improves as time goes by. Now, I don't like this because I am a beast with active reloads and I have the bonus, so I find no need for this. If you are not great with active reloads, or you don't have a high bonus, or you're not confident in your ability to say keep accurate shots the whole time, this might be a card for you. What else have we got? We've got our general stuff that we're skipping. Cover boost. Okay, so believe it or not, while you're in cover, you do take reduced damage. You're obviously out of the way of damage, so you're going to be taking less damage over time, but this can hugely impact the amount you take. Now, it says this is one thing I am not 100% sure of, okay? This says while in cover you take damage. I am not 100% sure if that extends to when you're peeking out of cover and shooting back at them. I haven't actually used the card enough to verify it myself. I'm sure there's probably somewhere you can Google out there on the internet. Reddit is full of all these tests and all, but that is one thing I'm not sure of. If the cover boost card does extend to popping out and shooting, it's far more useful than I give it credit for. I still wouldn't use it, but you see where I'm coming from. When you're just holding out in cover, not aiming out, 75% damage reduction isn't great. But if it counts when you're popping out and firing back at an enemy, then it's useful. So let's see, we got our grenade damage. Grenade damage is huge now because they're just a huge percentage. But the big thing is that this can be coupled with the next card we're going to look at, and it can be done and used in a really, really great sense. Now, you do need a third card on top of it to make it work perfectly, but we'll get that all covered now in a second. So this obviously makes your grenades do double damage, or if it's level 6, it will do just over double damage. Grenades are obviously a big thing, they do a lot of damage, they have a nice big radius on them, but also this does increase the radius of the grenade. Now, this also covers when you plant a grenade on a wall, on a floor or whatever it is, which is a big deal, because that can come in very handy, essentially setting traps for all of that. As it stands, by default, you can only carry 2 grenades, and you can only plant 2 grenades. Now, there are exceptions to that, which are some of the next 2 cards we're going to cover. And when combined together with all 3 of these cards that we're about to look at, can be a phenomenal way to play Soldier. It's not for me, but I've played in games with people who specifically focused on that, and shit is unreal. So maybe it's something you want to look into when designing how you want to play your Soldier. Anyway, so let's move on. We have our grenade capacity. Now, as I said, you can only hold 2 grenades at once, no matter what your class is, but with this card, you can increase the amount of grenades you can carry at once. Obviously, you start just carrying your 2 grenades. Your first level of this card gives you an extra 1, then an extra 2, then an extra 3, then an extra 4, 5, and then 6. So you can actually go and you can carry 8 grenades at once with a maxed out version of this card. Pretty big deal. So when you factor in all that extra damage and radius and possibly carrying 8 grenades at once, let's look at this one here. We have our grenade plants. Because you can only plant 2 grenades at once, you can get up to 9 grenades planted at once throughout the map. That's a big deal. And like I said, I have played in games with people who have grenade damage, capacity, and plants all maxed out. It is crazy. You put on TACCOM, you see grenades stuck everywhere on the map, in almost every enemy spawn. As soon as the enemies do spawn, you see the kill list just fly up. You see the wave progress bar cut down by half almost straight away. It's a very effective way to play. Consider it if that might be something you want to look into. We've already covered the Hammer of Dawn strike because it's how I play it with mine, so let's continue on. We'll see here. These are some of the ones I don't have actually. So you've got resupply. It will automatically resupply a grenade every X amount of seconds. Level 1 being 1 grenade every 45 seconds. So that can be a good skill to use if you're one of the soldiers who uses capacity, damage, plants, etc. And this one but basically if you use these 5 grenade cards, that is probably your best grenade build. You've got Siphon. Planted grenade kills drop 5% more power. With the amount of kills you can get with let's try work this out. With 9 planted grenades that do an extra 120% damage, every one of the kills they make drops an extra 5%. The scout picks all that up and deposits it, gets an extra 60% on all of that. You can see why all of this stuff works well together to facilitate getting to really, really high amounts of power and fabricator levels as early as possible, to get as many fortifications as possible, to give you the best chance of winning your wave 50. And team revive as well, which we don't need to talk about. So next up, let's take a look at our sniper class. So snipers, you want your precision weapons, your headshot and your critical hit damage. That's how I roll when it comes to snipers. So let's take a look at how I play mine real quick. We've got our 120% headshot damage bonus. As I'm sure you guys already know, weapons that can do critical headshot hits, like say the Marks or the long shot or handguns or whatever, they get a bonus damage as it is when they hit the crit headshot. This increases that damage by 120%, means it's exceptionally easy to get headshots and, you know, 1-shot kills or 2-shot kills or whatever it is, even over a long distance. Naturally, you're going to want to fly through all that, popping heads left, right and center. You're going to need your ammo bonus for it as well. Comes in especially handy with the long shot. The long shot being exceptional damage, even if it is 1 shot at a time, but you're going to need it for all that extra damage, or all the extra rounds you're going to fire, because of your headshot damage. And this card here, your precision rifle damage, this one counts for even non-headshots, even body shots, whatever, anything like say a Marksa or an M-bar or a long shot. This is what counts for that as I hit my desk. Now we got our Sniper Strike. This is the equivalent of the Mortar Strike and Hammer of Dawn Strike for the other two damage dealer classes. This one is a Fabricator option that hits 5 targets. The amount of targets it hits does increase as the rank of the card goes up, and it basically grants you, in my case, 5 headshots. And then there'll be whatever, like 6 headshots or 7 headshots or whatever it is. So it can be a good way to instantly tin out a lot of infantry units. Very handy. And explosive headshots. These ones are brilliant because you get so many headshots and so many crit headshot kills and whatever as a sniper from whatever weapon you're using. When you do this, when you get a headshot with this card, when you land a headshot and get a kill from it, the enemy actually explodes and they do damage to surrounding enemies. The higher up of this card you have, the more damage the explosions do. I don't know if it increases the radius of the damage now that I think about it, but we can check that in a minute when we actually get in and look at the cards. So, let's go. What are we looking at? General skills are going to be completely ignored as usual. So, we have Call Shot. Targets you mark take increased damage from all sources. This is a great card for snipers because you can mark enemies. Let's say, when you look at my heavy, which had the 60% damage, that only applied to me. So when I'm the heavy and I mark something, only I deal more damage to that. If a sniper marks something with this skill, everyone who hits it does additional damage. Now obviously the damage bonus is lower because, well, if you could do an additional 60% damage for everyone based on something that was marked, that would be a bit OP. But when you look at, say, maybe 40% increased damage from all sources at once, yeah, it can benefit out and kind of level itself out. So it is a good card from the sniper front. So here's the one we want. The amount of damage and radius increases based on the level of... Okay, so that is a good one. That is the radius as well as the damage. We've already covered that one, so we're not going to go into it. The same with our headshot. We've got Magic Bullet. So here we go. Critical hits with precision rifles, longshot marks and M-bar penetrate true enemies and increase the damage of the next shot. Effect stacks up to 3 times and lasts until a shot fails to perform a critical hit. So that basically means every time you land a headshot, you will get your extra bonus and it will stack up. The bonus and the bullet can pass through an enemy and hit someone behind him, doing additional damage to not just the single enemy you landed a headshot. Not for me, but it can be good. Precision Rifle Reload. I don't think this one is great because really it only makes a huge difference on the long shot. The Marxa has 5 bullets per clip as a standard, the M-bar has 3, the long shot has 1. So you're not going to be reloading anywhere near as often with a long shot or an M-bar. I'm actually starting to use the M-bar a little bit more lately and I'm actually starting to love it. So I'm kind of shying away from carrying a long shot and bringing an M-bar because I'm really kind of digging it. We've already looked at the precision damage and rifle, so we'll skip with that one. Now, this can work in conjunction with the one we saw earlier up top. Remember the one where you could mark an enemy and it would take increased damage from all sources and all players? You can use this in conjunction with the previous one to mark up to 7 enemies at once. So you're not just limited to 1, you could have 2 or 3 people fighting 2 or 3 different enemies all over the map. You quickly mark them out. Everyone is dealing more damage at the same time. Pretty useful when done that way. This one kind of works in the same sense as well. Radar ping. I'm not a fan of it here, but we'll go over it and I'll show you why it's a valid option. Similar to the mark boost and the call shot that we covered just right before this. When you ping this, it is an ability from the fabricator. It does cost money. When you do this, it will actually ping out and show all enemies on the map, which is very handy for not only showing where every enemy is so you can plan out accordingly, but at the same time it will allow your extra damage percent or damage percentage increase or whatever it is based on whatever level your skill is. Now we've already covered Sniper Strike, we won't go with that. Steady Hand, so we got a damage reduction and camera shake reduction. So you know when you take a hit, when you're aiming down your sights or whatever and you take a hit, your camera gets thrown off a little bit, and obviously you take less, or you take a bit of damage. So because that can cause you to miss shots, miss headshots, maybe land a body shot, or maybe just completely miss entirely, what this card does is, first off, it lets you take less damage, even if it's only slightly, but obviously it's only a level 1 card, it will go up. And then the big one is your camera shake reduction, which will decrease significantly by the looks of it. I mean, level 2 is 50% decrease. The amount of camera shake and sway when you take a hit while looking down the scope. Not specifically while looking down the scope, but you get my point. That can be a big deal for a sniper, because if you're trying to get a bead on someone's head while they're shooting at you, even if you take a hit and your camera only shakes maybe 60 or 70% or even less, well actually yeah, we'll go with 60% or less, it might not throw your headshot off. You might be able to line it up in time and, I don't know, save someone's life. Just something to think about. And last up we have our engineer. Now this engineer class is probably going to be the longest explanation of all 5 classes. But real quick, like I said earlier, there is 2 main ways to play engineer. You can spread yourself thin, kind of, not so much spread yourself thin, but you can spread your focus across a general wide variety of everything. Or if you're playing with two engineers who can organize themselves properly and can communicate and whatever, you can have one engineer focused on 2 specific things and another engineer focused on 2 other specific things. Now, when you look at my one here, when you look at my engineer, I have my current general one set as my, like, kind of, whatever you want to call it, general broad spectrum cover. I have barriers, weapon lockers, turrets, sentries. It's all just cost reduction, because I have this built around the fact that I will most likely only be the one engineer doing all this. So I want to do a bit better of everything. And of course, your repair boost efficiency. You can repair stuff faster. That's the big deal. You can repair not only faster, but you can also repair it cheaper. So that is a huge deal. But we'll get into the individualities of it here now anyway. We're going to skip the general ones as of usual, except one of them, because except 2 of them, because 2 of them do come in handy for the engineer. So we've got our barrier cost, we've already covered. If you're specifically focusing on 1 or 2 individual fortifications, you can make barriers dirt cheap. You can also increase barriers health. That's a good one. Imagine that, an extra 60% damage, or an extra 60% health. And when you combine it with that, with your barrier cost discount, that's 2 barriers for the price of 1, and both of them have an extra 60% health. And you can combine it with this one, you can throw it on here as well, that gives you an overall discount of up to 12% across everything, which can be paired with whatever, just to make it even cheaper. So that's one of the times the general skill does come in handy. So this is the same deal. This will be a recurring theme across the engineer one as well. You've got your decoy cost, something I don't usually focus on. It's like the one thing I don't build a lot of, which is why I don't really focus on the discount or the health side of it. But if you have 2 engineers and one of them wants to focus on decoys, you can significantly reduce the cost by 50%, and you can increase the health of them by 120%. Pretty big deal. We've got our flow engineer skill. You take reduced damage while repairing fortifications. So that's pretty decent. I mean, you're obviously out there, you're repairing the barriers on the front lines, the decoys, you're rearming the turrets, you're rearming the sentries, you're doing whatever you're doing. Obviously you want to take less damage, or as little damage or no damage as possible. That is a potential card to look in for on there too. This is another general skill that is actually useful for the engineer, and it's just general fortification health. It will increase, it will cover all your fortifications, which can be combined with whatever you're doing and whatever you're building and focusing on, if that's your deal. It's kind of handy. It covers everything really. I don't use it personally, but I have been known to use it if I am focusing on 1 or 2 specific things, because yes, they do stack with other things like decoy health, barrier health, turret health, sentry health, etc. So we have our overclock plus 25% ammo replenish rate. So this is for the weapon lockers. What weapon lockers do is you can build these and you can store weapons on them. You can store heavy weapons and normal weapons. You can put on lancers, you can put on shotguns, you can put on marksman weapons, you can put on drop shots, boom shots, you can put on turrets, not turrets, tri-shots, you can put on salvos, you can put on buzz kills, you can put them on there and they will actually replenish the ammo on there. Now it takes place over a set amount of time, but with the overclock skill they replenish faster. So obviously this one replenishes 25% faster, next one will be 40% faster, etc, etc. And this is the one that I use as well. This is also the main one that I believe this is actually your first engineer skill. I could be wrong, but this is the big one that every engineer should always have. Your repair tool will repair fortifications cheaper and faster based on the level of this skill. You will be using this one so much the entire time. This one, in my opinion, is non-negotiable, and definitely, just like the scout one with the returning power to the fabricator, is absolutely required. So we got our salvage here. Sentries, when you put down sentries, they have a percentage chance to drop ammo when you kill an enemy. So you know those ammo crates in the middle of the battlefield? Yeah. When turrets kill enemies with this card equipped, there is a percentage chance for them to drop those boxes. It can come in really handy. I've only really seen it be exceptionally game-changing maybe once or twice, but it's just something to consider if you really want to focus on sentries. We're going to skip our team revive. These are the big four when it comes to the sentries, so this is why you'll see it. If you really focus on sentries and maybe one or two other things, like say the repair boost, or drop out one of these cards and put in for maybe more health or just an overall discount, you can do some serious damage with sentries. I'm sure over the course of the next few months, when you new guys are actually playing this, you are going to see high level engineers and scouts working together to put up an absolute line. I'm talking 10, 12, 15, 20 sentries in a row that will shred anything that walks towards them. They will be working with stuff like this. You're going to have your sentry speed, it's got your rate of fire, so naturally it's going to increase its fire rate and how many bullets it pumps out per second, doing more damage as quick as possible. Unfortunately, it uses more ammo as quick as possible, but hey, a good scout and a good engineer can counter that. You've got your discount, enough said, I put that in there. We've got your capacity. This will allow you to increase the actual capacity of ammo. So instead of just having, let's for argument's sake, say 100 bullets, my sentries, if I use this card, will have 130 bullets. So you see where it comes in dead handy, especially when you've got 15 turrets shooting 160% their usual speed with an extra 60% ammo. You know why you want to need it. The turret cost is pretty much standard, why I covered it in there as well, that I put it in my build we've already covered. Same with the weapon locker. But the last one is turret health. Usually I wouldn't recommend using the turret health card unless you're really focused on increasing your turret capabilities. If you're one of the two engineers and your job is turrets, maybe consider putting that on there. I still don't think it's anything phenomenal, because usually a turret won't get blown up unless it's getting hit by a boss move, which would usually destroy them anyway, especially at higher levels and higher ranks as it is. So that's it as far as Gears of War 4 Horde mode introduction goes. It's been a long video and I hope I've covered everything. Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure I've covered all of what you need to know to get started in your Gears of War 4 career, or Horde mode career, whatever you want to call it. Because let's face it, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of people playing, and chances are you new guys, you're going to get into matches with people who have re-upped like me 6, 7, 8, 9 times, whatever. Some of them don't want to play with you. Some of them don't want the time of day with you in their game, because they will see you as a hindrance. I'm not going to go out and say that you guys are a hindrance, but I will say that using the information I've given you in this video can help you minimize the impact that essentially your newness will convey to these people. If you know what you're doing, they can overlook that. They can say, okay, this guy is a low rank, he seems to know what he's doing, we'll give him the chance, we'll do whatever, and they won't all just instantly 4 of them drop before round 1 even starts. So trust me, it happens, I've seen it. So Hopefully, if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below about basically anything, because when it comes to Gears of War 4 Horde mode and the classes and whatever, I can pretty much answer everything, and you can just leave me know all that stuff, and I can get back to you on that as quick as I can, as quick as humanly possible, time zones and whatnot withstanding. So let me know all of that good stuff and any of your questions in the comments section below. Hopefully this video has been very informative to you. I will put well, there's no point in saying that I'll put annotations and time links because you're already at the end of the video, but if you found this helpful or informative in any way, feel free to hit the like button to let me know I finally did a good job on this terrible video that I spent way too long making. Feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the rest of the videos in my channel and in Horde mode.